In the quiet suburb of Melbrook, just outside the bustling city of Hartford, Connecticut, a heinous crime shatters the illusion of peaceful suburban life. On a crisp autumn morning in September 2018, the body of 17-year-old Sarah Thompson is discovered in the woods behind her family's home. The gruesome scene sends shockwaves through the community, leaving residents locked behind their doors, whispering about the killer walking among them. Detective Michael Carter, a seasoned investigator with the Hartford Police Department, is called to lead the case. With his keen intuition and unwavering dedication, Carter delves into the intricate web of lies and deceit surrounding Sarah's murder. Little could he have imagined that this case would test his perceptions and force him to confront the darkest aspects of human nature. Sarah Thompson, a vibrant 16-year-old, is an aspiring artist with dreams of studying at a prestigious art school. Her artwork reflects her passion for life, a kaleidoscope of colors that tell stories of love, longing, and youthful dreams. Yet beneath her vibrant exterior lies a girl grappling with profound feelings of isolation and despair. In school, Sarah is known for her creativity and talent, often capturing the attention of her teachers and peers. Her art serves as both an escape and an outlet for her emotions, a way to express the turmoil brewing within. However, in recent months, her behavior has shifted. Friends notice her withdrawal from social activities and the bright spark in her eyes beginning to dim. In private conversations with her best friend Emily, Sarah confides her struggles with anxiety and feelings of being trapped at home. She describes a growing tension with her stepfather, Robert, and reveals her fear of expressing herself too freely, fearing it might provoke his wrath. Sarah has always been sensitive and empathetic, yet she feels increasingly suffocated in her own home, torn between wanting to please her family and yearning for autonomy. Amanda Wilson, Sarah's mother, is a kind-hearted woman in her late 30s. Struggling with the complexities of her own life, she is a dedicated nurse, often working long hours to support her family. Her job is both a source of pride and a burden, leaving her emotionally drained by the end of each shift. Amanda's marriage to Robert has been rocky from the start. After the death of Sarah's biological father in a car accident 5 years ago, Amanda sought comfort in Robert, who initially appeared to be a loving figure. However, as their relationship progressed, Amanda became increasingly aware of Robert's controlling nature, especially concerning Sarah. Despite her growing unease, Amanda finds it difficult to confront Robert directly. She worries that doing so might disrupt their fragile family unit, especially considering the trauma they all experienced after losing Sarah's father. This conflict creates a rift between Amanda and Sarah. Amanda often feels torn between supporting her daughter and maintaining peace in the household. Robert Wilson, Sarah's stepfather, is a charismatic man in his early 40s. On the surface, he presents himself as a caring and responsible figure, someone who has taken on the role of a father after the tragic loss of Sarah's biological dad. However, beneath this facade lies a man struggling with his insecurities and the pressures of his job as a successful sales manager. As a stepfather, Robert's relationship with Sarah is strained. He often exerts his authority in an effort to establish control, particularly when it comes to her social life and friendships. He disapproves of Sarah's relationship with Nathan, viewing him as a bad influence. His attempts to guide her come across as oppressive, leading Sarah to resent him further. Robert's deep-seated fears about losing Amanda and his desire to maintain a perfect family image contribute to his controlling behavior. His insecurities fester, leading to tension that eventually escalates into verbal confrontations. While he claims to act in Sarah's best interest, his inability to empathize with her struggles creates an insurmountable divide between them. The dynamics within the Thompson household are complex, marked by love, yet suffocated by unspoken fears and resentments. Sarah often feels like an outsider in her own family, as her artistic nature clashes with Robert's more pragmatic and traditional views. He often dismisses her interests, labeling them as frivolous, which only deepens her sense of isolation. Amanda, caught in the middle, feels the weight of her daughter's pain and her husband's anger. She tries to mediate the situation, often smoothing over conflicts but failing to address the underlying issues. Each night, Amanda hears the muffled sounds of arguments between Robert and Sarah, and each time she chooses to remain silent, the tension in the house thickens. Sarah longs for her mother's support, craving validation for her feelings and experiences. However, Amanda's reluctance to confront Robert creates a barrier, making Sarah feel unheard and invisible. On the surface, the Thompson family appears typical, participating in community events and family dinners. However, these moments often feel forced, underscored by an undercurrent of tension. During dinner, Robert frequently dominates the conversation, while Sarah sits quietly, pushing food around her plate, battling the urge to speak her truth. One evening, as Amanda prepares dinner, she senses the tension brewing again. Robert has been particularly irritable, his frustration simmering just beneath the surface. Sarah, armed with a new sketch she's excited about, tries to share it with her family, only to be met with Robert's dismissive tone. "We don't have time for your nonsense, Sarah. Focus on your studies, instead of wasting time on that art stuff." The words hit her like a physical blow, leaving her feeling both rejected and alone. After dinner, as the family disperses to their separate corners, Sarah retreats to her room, pouring her emotions onto the canvas. It's during these moments of solitude that she finds peace, yet the burden of her family's expectations weighs heavily on her heart. Detective Michael Carter steps into the dense woodland behind the Thompson home, where a sense of unease hangs in the air. The remnants of autumn leaves crunch beneath his feet, masking the somber reality of the scene before him. The body of Sarah Thompson lies eerily still, her once bright spirit extinguished, her youthful face marred by the brutality of her death. Carter kneels beside the body, his heart heavy. As he meticulously examines the scene, he makes note of the small details: a broken twig, a faint footprint leading away from the area, and the position of Sarah's arms, suggesting a struggle. These observations spark theories in his mind about the confrontation that led to her murder. The coroner arrives, and as they examine the body, Carter learns that Sarah had been dead for several hours before her body was discovered. The coroner estimates the time of death to be around midnight, and this detail prompts Carter to focus on the timeline of events leading up to the murder. He notes that the Thompson household was quiet, and any late-night visitors would be easily discernible. As he returns to the Thompson residence, the chaos of grief unfolds around him. Neighbors gather, whispering and speculating about what could have happened. Parents huddle protectively around their children, and the palpable fear of the unknown suffocates the neighborhood. Inside the house, Amanda Wilson sits on the couch, her face buried in her hands. Carter approaches her gently, introducing himself as the lead investigator. Amanda looks up, her eyes red and swollen from tears. As she recounts her last memories of Sarah, her voice quakes with sorrow. She describes Sarah's recent withdrawal from family life, her struggles with depression, and her fascination with a boy from school, Nathan, whom Amanda disapproved of. The tension in the household had been palpable, and Carter notes the bitter undercurrents in Amanda's words. Next, he turns his attention to Robert Wilson, Amanda's husband. When Carter questions Robert, he appears composed, yet his eyes dart nervously. He claims to have been at a late-night meeting with clients, a story that seems rehearsed. Carter probes deeper, asking for names and details, but Robert's answers are vague. Carter can sense the mounting pressure on Robert, and his instinct tells him that the man is hiding something crucial. Carter decides to visit Sarah's school, where he meets with her teachers and peers. In a candid conversation with Sarah's best friend, Emily, the detective learns of Sarah's increasing tension with her stepfather. Emily shares that Sarah had confided in her about feeling stifled by Robert's controlling nature and had expressed fears of what he might do if he found out about her plans to confront him about his alleged affair. With a growing list of motives, Carter feels the investigation gaining momentum. As he leaves the school, he stares at the autumn leaves scattered on the ground, contemplating the fragile nature of life and the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of seemingly normal families. The investigation intensifies as Detective Carter delves into Sarah's digital life. He requests access to her social media accounts and emails, hoping to uncover more about her relationships. The initial findings are illuminating. Sarah had been actively documenting her struggles and emotions online, revealing a side of her that few had seen. Her posts oscillate between longing for independence and a sense of entrapment within her family dynamics. One evening, Carter is alone in his dimly lit office, sifting through Sarah's messages when a particular exchange catches his attention. In a series of texts with Nathan, Sarah expresses her frustration with Robert, implying that she knows more about her stepfather's indiscretions than she lets on. Carter feels a chill run down his spine. This could be the motive he needs to confront Robert. Carter arranges to meet Nathan, who is still reeling from Sarah's death. The young man's eyes are filled with sorrow, and as he speaks, his voice trembles with the weight of his emotions. He reveals that Sarah had hinted at wanting to confront Robert about his behavior, claiming she was tired of feeling like a prisoner in her own home. Nathan recalls a particular conversation where Sarah had mentioned a family secret, a phrase that lingers ominously in Carter's mind. As Carter continues to peel back the layers of Sarah's life, he uncovers more connections that paint a complicated picture. Interviews with neighbors reveal whispered rumors of infidelity and deceit in the Thompson household, with speculation surrounding Robert's relationship with Elena Gonzalez. One evening, under the fading light, Carter pays a visit to Elena. The tension in her home is palpable. Her husband Miguel is known for his volatile temper. When Carter broaches the subject of Robert, Elena hesitates, clearly torn between her loyalty to Robert and her growing guilt. Finally, in a moment of vulnerability, she reveals the details of their affair, describing Robert as charming but deeply insecure, a man who couldn't bear the thought of losing control. Elena's revelations suggest a potential motive. If Sarah had discovered Robert's affair, he would have everything to lose, potentially driving him to desperate measures. The idea that Robert could kill to protect his secrets haunts Carter as he prepares for the next stage of the investigation. Detective Carter organizes a formal interview with Robert at the police station. The room is stark and intimidating, with a single table separating them. As Robert enters, his demeanor is markedly different from their previous interactions. He is fidgety, and sweat beads on his forehead. "Thank you for coming in today, Robert," Carter begins, his tone calm yet assertive. "We need to talk about your whereabouts the night Sarah died." Robert shifts uncomfortably in his chair, eyes darting around the room. He repeats his alibi, a late meeting with clients, but Carter isn't convinced. "Your story doesn't align with the evidence we've gathered," Carter states, sliding a folder across the table. Inside are the text messages, diary entries, and statements from Emily and Nathan. Robert's facade begins to crack as he realizes the weight of the evidence against him. "You don't understand. She was going to ruin everything," he exclaims, voice rising. "I couldn't let that happen." Carter leans in, maintaining eye contact. "What do you mean, ruin everything?" Robert's defenses crumble as he confesses. In a frantic outburst, he reveals that Sarah had confronted him about his affair with Elena just before the murder. In a moment of rage, fearing his entire life would unravel, he struck her in a fit of anger, never intending to kill her. The admission hangs heavy in the air, and the detective feels a wave of relief wash over him. They finally have the confession they need. Robert is arrested, but the confession leaves a bitter taste in Carter's mouth. He knows the battle isn't over yet. Now they must face the legal system and bring Robert to justice. As the trial begins, the courtroom buzzes with tension. Survivors of the tragedy fill the benches, each face reflecting the loss of Sarah. Amanda sits in the front row, her eyes sunken and filled with a mixture of grief and anger. Detective Carter, called as a key witness, prepares to recount the harrowing details of the investigation. The prosecution presents a powerful case, bringing forward Emily, who shares how Sarah's anxiety over Robert's controlling behavior intensified in the weeks leading up to her death. They play recordings of Sarah's phone conversations and showcase her diary entries, painting a vivid picture of a girl tormented by her family dynamics. When Robert's defense team tries to cast doubt on Sarah's character, arguing that she was a troubled teen seeking attention, the courtroom erupts in outrage. Carter stands firm in his testimony, recounting Robert's confession and emphasizing the calculated nature of his actions. Robert Wilson's motives were driven by fear and desperation, he states firmly, meeting the jury's gaze. He saw Sarah as a threat, and in his twisted view, he believed he had no choice. The emotional weight of the trial is overwhelming, and Amanda is visibly shaken as she hears the details of her daughter's final moments. Robert's defense attempts to portray him as a victim of circumstance, a man whose life spiraled out of control due to external pressures, but the jury remains unconvinced. After a grueling week of testimonies, the jury begins deliberations. Carter, sitting in the gallery, feels the tension in the air. The question of justice for Sarah looms over everyone present. Finally, after 2 days of deliberation, the jury returns with a verdict: guilty of second-degree murder. A wave of relief washes over the courtroom as Amanda breaks down in tears, both relieved and heartbroken. The judge hands down the sentence: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, sending Robert away for good. In the aftermath, the community grapples with the emotional fallout. Amanda dedicates her time to advocating for mental health awareness, using her platform to share Sarah's story and honor her memory. Detective Carter reflects on the case, acknowledging the scars left behind, but also recognizing the resilience of the human spirit. As Carter looks out at the autumn leaves swirling in the wind, he finds solace in the knowledge that Sarah's story will live on, serving as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most ordinary lives. As the leaves continued to fall in vibrant shades of orange and gold, the Melbrook community slowly began to heal. The tragedy that claimed Sarah Thompson's life had left an indelible mark, but in its wake arose a collective determination to honor her memory and prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. Amanda Wilson, Sarah's mother, emerged as a fierce advocate for mental health awareness. Using her grief as fuel, she launched a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing resources for struggling teens and their families. She spoke at schools and community centers, sharing Sarah's story and emphasizing the importance of communication and support within families. Her passion resonated with many, fostering open dialogues about mental health in a town that had long remained silent about such issues. Detective Michael Carter, too, found himself changed by the case. Though the scars of Sarah's murder lingered, they inspired him to approach his work with renewed vigor. He began collaborating with local organizations to provide workshops on recognizing signs of abuse and how to foster safe environments for youth. Carter knew that change wouldn't come overnight, but he believed in the power of awareness and education to prevent future tragedies. As the one-year anniversary of Sarah's death approached, Amanda organized a community art exhibit in her daughter's honor. Art is the voice of the soul, Amanda stated in her opening remarks, and Sarah's soul spoke of love, beauty, and resilience. Local artists, inspired by Sarah's passion, showcased their work, transforming the gallery into a vibrant tapestry that echoed Sarah's spirit. In a quiet corner of the exhibit, Amanda stood beside a painting that Sarah had created just weeks before her death. It depicted a girl standing at the edge of a dark forest, bathed in the warm light of a setting sun. The girl's expression was one of determination, a beacon of hope in the face of darkness. Tears filled Amanda's eyes as she realized that Sarah's legacy would not be one of tragedy but of inspiration and change. The community gathered to remember Sarah, sharing stories, laughter, and tears. They lit candles, each flame representing a memory, a moment, a life touched by Sarah's warmth. In that gathering, amid the grief, hope flourished, and a promise emerged they would not forget. As the sun set on that poignant evening, casting a golden glow across the gallery, Detective Carter stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the cool autumn air. He looked at the trees, their leaves shimmering in the twilight. In that moment, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, a commitment to protect the vulnerable, to seek justice not just for Sarah, but for all those whose voices had been silenced. Though the scars of loss would always remain, the resilience of the human spirit shone brightly. Together, the community of Melbrook stood united, vowing to nurture the light that Sarah had brought into their lives, ensuring that her story would continue to inspire others long after the autumn leaves had fallen. Thank you for diving into the story of Sarah Thompson with us. We hope you found the journey through the mystery and the resilience of the characters as captivating as we did. If you enjoyed this tale of intrigue, family dynamics, and the fight for justice. Don't forget to like this story and subscribe for more thrilling narratives. Your support means the world and helps us bring more compelling stories to life. Stay tuned for our next adventure, where we'll explore new mysteries, unravel secrets, and meet unforgettable characters. Join our community and be part of the journey. Together, let's keep the stories alive. Until next time, keep your hearts open and your curiosity alive.